time to fight. It's time to fight. If you down to fight, then let's start the strike.
This is the Amazon Teamsters podcast, and I'm your host, Randy Corrigan, director of the Amazon division at the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. In this episode, oh my goodness, we are going to talk about the recent victory of the Tom drivers in Kentucky. This incredible story of the first group, an historic group going in, demanding recognition, demanding Amazon bargain, demanding a union contract ultimately to make sure the conditions that they have on the job are safe, secure, and fair. I'll tell you, hearing from these two individuals, Jeff and Trenton, was incredible. And hearing how they built up the energy, how they worked the campaign, in addition to how they felt walking away from that exchange. Just powerful. You'll also hear what a Tom driver does, and you'll also hear in detail Amazon's broken promises. Jeff worked for a company that Amazon bought, was well taken care of as a commercial driver, more than 30 years of experience in the industry. Dramatic changes, not for the positive, when Amazon bought that company. Tune in to this incredible show. All right, we're back. Oh my goodness, what an incredible situation yesterday. I always love to see workers march on the boss, walk in, throw their demands down, look at the employer and say, this is a direction we are going in. And I am being joined today by two workers from Amazon all the way out in Kentucky, Jeff King and Trenton Adkins, who are part of the Tom team. I'll let them explain what that very important job is within the operation of Amazon and how integral it is in making sure the operation operates and moves and is efficient and successful. But I'll let them describe it. However, these important workers within the framework of this massive corporation threw down yesterday, demanded recognition, demanded changes, and put one of the biggest corporations in the world on notice that they are Teamsters and that it's time to have a union contract in their location. And from the great state of Kentucky, Jeff, why don't you introduce yourself first, and then Trenton, I'll have you go second.
Yeah, I'm Jeff King. I've been there for 14 years now. Amazon came and took my company over probably 8 years ago, I'm guessing, somewhere right in there. And I actually worked for a pretty good company at that time. They came in and they took everything. You know, they said they weren't going to take our free health insurance, our bonuses, free food. We had a lot of things for the company I worked for. And they came in and man, it didn't take long. They took it all, you know. But I've been driving for 31 years now. So I have a lot of experience with driving. So, you know, the stuff we got going on with them has really gotten bad, you know, and dangerous. It's hard for a driver like me to drive. And I've been doing it for 31 years. So I can feel the pain of new drivers that we have. So that's a little of me.
Trenton, why don't you introduce yourself? What do you do?
Yeah, so I've been with Amazon for 8 years now. And what's crazy, man, is I remember when I first started in 2017, they increased the hourly wage at that time to 16 and screwed a bunch of people over with their stocks and everything else that they had. And I remember when I came in, newcomer, I was like, oh, yeah, awesome, $16. And I didn't realize how good I could have had it if I had been there before that, and all the people that got messed up, man. I mean, I heard so much during that time about how it was terrible, and I just couldn't see it. But obviously now I see it clear as day that that was one of the beginnings of a long list of things that Amazon did to screw people over. But I've been with Tom team for going on 3 years now. And what Jeff said is true, man. Like when I started doing the Tom team stuff, we still have all these rules and stuff, but they gave me the long list and they had me do all this training and stuff. And again, at the time, I was like, "Oh, this seems normal. This is what you're supposed to do every day." It's so repetitive and arbitrary. And again, looking back now, it's like, oh, they just don't let us drive. They don't think that we can handle that sort of responsibility. And on their end, they're not exactly doing all that they can to make sure that they do get the best drivers ever. And full transparency, they give us 2 days of on the road training following going to CDL school. So yeah, again, they're the worst in that regard.
So let's explain for listeners what a Tom Team driver does. Just basics. Obviously, you drive a tractor trailer and sometimes a yard goat or a hostler. Some people might not know what that is. Why don't you guys describe that real quick? Jeff, seeing that you got a little bit more whiskers.
So a yard dog is just a small tractor trailer, little square tractor trailer that you can take and move stuff on the yard. Just from dock door to dock door. So basically, we'll go hook up to a trailer. We'll use the hydraulics to lift it up, hook all the air lines up, move it to the spot we're taking it to, and we do that all day long. And then we'll have the people, that are shuttle drivers, which we all are too. We all have CDLs. We'll come in, they'll come in and take the trailers to off sites, or if we have Tommy runs, anywhere within the distance we can run and come back that day. So we
so anywhere you can drive
4
hours and 4 hours back, or 5 hours and 5, or 3 and 3, whatever, that you can make that turnaround. So you're doing a combination of the yard hostler and on the road.
Yes.
Trenton, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just driving. That's why they call us hybrid drivers. We also have to take care of our many, many yards in different ways. Like we have to sit down in our truck post and check in and check out incoming drivers, whether they're from UPS or Estes or even like food delivery places. Like we're doing this throughout the day as we're posted up. And, you could run into any person. It could be someone that's mad, upset that they're, late for their drop off and they take the anger out on you, or it could be someone that's lost and it's hard to, maybe speak to them because we do have a lot of immigrants in our area. And this is one of the many barriers we face in that regard. And they ask a lot out of us in that, making sure the trailers, the correct type of trailer, because you could have a skirted trailer, you could have a refrigerated trailer, you could have a trailer with a captive beam, and all this sort of stuff. They want you to make sure you get all of that right. The license plate, the trailer number, making sure it's loaded. The cameras don't work that well. You can't see it. You can ask Jeff himself. He's got to put his face up to the cameras just to see what's even there.
Old guy.
It's frustrating. And along with that too, we have to do yard audits. We walk the 3-4 yards we have entirely, and they give us this set way to do it. Like you have to have 2 people to do it because you need someone to spot for you, and the other person is supposed to go behind these trailers, validate every trailer. If it's loaded, okay. If it's empty or it doesn't have a seal, you got to open it. You got to put the safety straps on it so nothing falls out while you're opening it. You got to grab a persuader bar, because if you grab that door handle and you hurt your wrist or it slaps you in the face, that's on you. Again, even though people have been opening trailer doors for years. But anyways, you got to do all that, verify what's in there, and do that for, I would guess, 500 plus trailers through those 3-4 yards. And I might be underestimating it, because I know alone we got we got to have at least 300 on our own yard. And then you add the 3 other yards we got. I mean, it takes at least 6 to 8 hours.
So what's a yard? I know what a yard is. I know the terminology. People listening in may not know what a yard is. It's a little grass area with a fence. Yard, you mean another facility, right?
Sure. Yeah. So, we have another facility that we go to where we store our trailers, another Amazon facility about a mile away from us.
Yeah, so you got to get on the street. You got to get on the street and drive on the street.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Yeah, you got to deal with all the traffic and stuff. If there's any major collisions in the way. You got to look out for that because there's set list rules with that too. And the 2 other yards we have are just gravel lots. To be quite frank, I mean, you drive in there, there's potholes everywhere, and you find an open space and put your trailer there, and try not to get stuck. Try not to get swamp foot, stepping in these puddles and stuff.
It's swamp foot, yes,
yeah,
absolutely. Especially in Kentucky,
stuff.
you guys get some crazy weather sometimes, so that happens quite often.
Dude, it was like 70 like a couple days ago, and now we're dealing with like pouring rain, and it's probably gonna be freezing next week. I mean, it's constant.
Yeah. Hey, look, I just got to say it again. I got to congratulate you all and your team on what you did yesterday. And I always love to have the energy come right off of something like that. And I want to start with Jeff first because, Jeff, you and I are old dogs in the industry. In other words, we've been around the industry for a while. And that had to have been so powerful for you to know that you were walking in and you were making history yesterday. You know that you were part of doing something that nobody's ever done before. How's that make you feel, especially having so much experience in the industry, knowing so much about the industry? What's that like, Jeff?
I'm going to tell you what, I got goosebumps when you talk about it now, and it is fresh. And I probably haven't slept 8 hours in the last 4 days, but it was going in it's nerve wracking a bit, because I'm carrying the letter in, you know what I mean? And I'm walking down, through the hallway with it and everything. I'm like, don't fall out of the folder. Don't, you know what I mean? don't mess this up. Then I put it in my locker and I go get in my hostler. I'm like, I had one time when my locker lock didn't work real good. And I'm thinking that the whole time while I'm driving all day, is my locker going to open when I go to lunch to get this? And it was crazy. And then, Trenton, we had it all set for a certain time, that everybody was meeting, and then, nothing ever goes right. We're about to throw down. It's 12:30. We're ready. Everybody's there. And both our managers go for a yard walk. And we're like, they don't usually do those together by themselves. So they head out and they were all standing there. And I had to, thank goodness it worked out, because I would look bad if it didn't. I said, well, let's just go inside and do it. Get ready, because we had to get our gear on real quick and everything. And then we go to get inside and we're starting to get ready. And someone says, they're almost back. And we're like, oh no, we haven't done anything. So we're putting all our stuff on, and I said, get behind this little shelf. And there's a little shelf with radios, and there's like 10 of us there putting on stuff, and they walk in and we kind of just freeze. And they didn't see us, did they, Trent? I guess they were talking. I guess if you actually freeze, people don't see you.
Right.
They took the turn and walked by, and then we scrambled everything together, and we go, and I was missing one of the papers that I needed, you know what I mean? But we got it together. We got where we needed to go, and I don't know. I think it went good that way, even though it was crazy. It was entertaining.
Yeah. And then how about that feeling, Trenton, walking away? In other words, you once you've said the demand and you've put them on notice, what's that feeling as you're walking away?
I mean, you saw me at the end of the video.
I did. Yes.
I couldn't have been more hyped, and I could have probably went on a little longer, but I knew I had to calm myself down and, not give them anything to look at as like, I don't know, threatening or whatever. But yeah, I was so elated. I just wanted to hug everyone. I was hugging people that were, sitting over on another table, just watching the whole thing go down. I was ready to call my wife and tell her, oh my gosh, we did it. But all this stuff that was just running through my mind, I knew in the back of my head that we had to get right back to work, even though we just achieved this historical thing. And credit to Jeff, man, that dude held us down. He had us ready to go. He made sure we were all lined up. He had his paper ready to go. The one blunder he had, it's not that big of a deal, but he had us calm, organized, and just ready to march on them.
See, isn't it funny? You hear Jeff's version, and he's like, "Oh man, it was all chaotic," and then you hear Trenton going, "Man, he had his stuff together, and he was lined up, and we were all watching him." That's what happens when you're a leader. Sometimes in the moment, you got that pressure of it and that anxiety, which is why you felt those goosebumps, right? But then everybody around you's like, "Let's go, let's do this." and then there's a calmness when worker power is being exercised, because that camaraderie and that collectiveness of all of you being together is what just creates this energy that obviously we all saw in the video afterwards just explode, right? You're just, your emotions are flying there. And I think that I love these moments. I'm getting goosebumps right now because I'm thinking about all the times not only I've seen it, but I've been there, or I've been standing there with the workers when they do it, or I've been part of them doing it and doing these crazy things. And it's just such a powerful feeling when workers have control, which is what Amazon doesn't want. Now, I want to point out something. I want to shift gears here real quick and just, you guys organized in secret for over a year. You really built this out. And, what's that like? Amazon clearly had no idea once you showed up and you demanded recognition, you were able, and you demanded them to negotiate, and you're saying, hey, we're going to hold you accountable. We want a contract. What you're saying is, Amazon, you got a contract with all your customers. You got a contract with all your vendors. You got a contract with all these suppliers. You got all these contracts everywhere. You got contracts with lawyers. You got contracts with everybody. Hey, man, we just want a contract, man. We just want a fair share. We just want to know the rules. So you started that. You started that first step in that space. You've kicked that door open, and witnessing you all do it, it's just incredible. How'd you do it? How'd you hold this in for so long, making sure that you were at that, good, strong majority status before you popped it? How'd you do it?
Well, I'll start with it.
You kept your mouth shut, right?
I'm going to tell you, I'm religious. There was a lot of praying involved.
There you go.
There really was. It is. It's not a difficult thing. It's just the hardest part. And I think when Trenton let it out there, it's hard to hold it in, because every day you're having meeting. If you have a meeting, we don't usually get startups, even though they say it. But if you're having something, you're wanting to just let it out, and I can let it out now. You know what I mean? And holding that in, it's hard.
It's like a rubber band wound up. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. But, once we got rolling, we got some good people involved, and there's a lot of luck. And then sometimes you just got to trust this person. You got to trust that person. I haven't had much time with Trenton since this happened, but yesterday, the last one left, and I said, I can't believe we did this, and nobody found out. It's a blessing. But and I'm gonna tell you, right, he said something about me. He is the best organizer you'll ever see, because he is all over it. He just gets from place to place and run. I'm old school, can't do the phone real good, and I'm on text with him. I can't even keep up. I'm still trying to catch up the ones from today. It's just he's all over it. So that was a lot of it.
Trent, do you want to add to that? And why was it important to you? Why was it important to you to do it this way, Trent?
Oh, yeah. I mean, first of all, I appreciate you, Jeff. But following that question, I mean, yeah, you don't want to give Amazon any hint that this is going to happen. You've seen it at other places that got found out early through one way or another. They come in there and they bust hard. They spend millions and millions of dollars on this, making sure that no conversations get had, no traction gets made, despite the fact that, we all know that unions benefit everyone at the workplace, and they do so much positive stuff. They only produce good change. And Amazon, maybe because they're evil, I don't know, I'll just throw it out there, does not want to see that positive change for their workers. So they try their hardest to stop it at any point in time. And even right now, day after, they got union busters in there, a group of them. They're trying to talk to all of us.
They got on their flights, they got on their planes, and they just come and they just...
Oh, yeah.
They're there today.
Yeah, 100%. They flew in probably that same night. They were texting while I was talking to them. You'll see. But, yeah, we got people trying to come up to individual drivers asking, like, why couldn't we figure this out before? You guys never addressed these concerns. And all I got to say to them is, once you see the video, you're going to see exactly what I'm going to say, because we did address these concerns. They had a physical VOA board, which is, a board they use to allow us to comment on stuff, any issues, concerns that we may have, and everyone can see it. I went on there, and a couple other people followed and added on to it. And instead of addressing it on the board or in person, they took it down. They physically took it down. They sat it to the side. We could see it over by their nooks, like, oh, it's just over there. They're just going to ignore it. They never bothered to even acknowledge it. So yeah, at that moment, I knew exactly how they felt about all of us. They don't care about our concerns.
And Jeff, something I want to reach back to something you said earlier that I think is really important is you worked for this other company before that did a really good job of taking care of you. And it's one of those reasons why I always tell people, even if you work for what you think is a good company, you should still have a good union contract because, how do you make sure that those conditions are going to stay consistent, right? Here, this big corporation buys you and you assume, oh, things are going to get better because it's a company that's got even more money than the one they just purchased. And it's the complete opposite, right? And as your testimony here, I mean, no testimony, but what you just explained clearly points out that drastic shift in, a small company sort of operation where they're able to take care of each other to then this big corporation saying, nope, if I make them pay for this and and I start chiseling here, chiseling there. And then, the reality is I know you said earlier, $16 an hour in 2017, to be doing this work. I was making that in the late 80s, early 90s in the same industry. You know what I mean? 30 some years ago. Like Amazon wants to pat themselves on the back. And I know maybe someone brand new to the industry now thinks, oh, well, that's good. No, man, like that was a good wage 35 years ago in the industry. Yeah. What makes them think that that's a good wage now? And not just the wages, the working conditions and having a say so and making sure that you're respected on the job and all those elements and aspects are put in that space. Workers in Kentucky, why do you think that this is good for them?
Well, I mean, it's good for everybody. I tell a lot of people, so my daughter, she works at UPS. She's a Teamster. And I'm going to tell you what, me and her are celebrating. You know what I mean? We've been watching.
Awesome.
She's been helping me and just, praying for me, and we're celebrating. But she makes more than me as an unloader than me as a CDL driver over the road for Amazon. And she has the great benefits and
retirement plan,
everything. And it's just crazy that she makes more than me and I drive a CDL. I hope people hear that. And she works at UPS, and it's a living wage for her, though. For what she's doing, it's a living wage. But this isn't. It's not a living wage, and companies like these, they're getting. I mean, Amazon's huge, and you see them everywhere, bigger and bigger and bigger. Well, they're going to throw robots in there, and then they're going to kick people out. The end game isn't good for anybody. You know what I mean? It isn't. If there's not change, you know what I mean? There needs to be more. I mean, people should be looking right now and a little bit fearful, saying, we need to get in the union, like you're saying. I mean, we need to be 40, 50 million people in this union.
Yeah,
you know
that's right.
We need it.
We need union contracts to protect you on the job. And we got to make sure workers got to have that blanket, that security blanket. Your jobs are hard, and Amazon seems to do whatever they can to make them harder from time to time. Why don't you talk about that? Like, what are some of those things that they've done to make your job harder? You guys are experts in the industry. You're doing the job every day. And sometimes this person rolls in and is like, no, you got to do this and you got to do that. And you're looking at them going, are you crazy? We do this job every day. You can't, that's not going to work. Talk about that real quick. Give examples.
I'll start. So
you're good on this one.
One of the biggest things I can think of are, they have these inward facing cameras, and their claim for having these inward facing cameras is that it's used for our safety, and for our benefit. But what they use it for is to harass us. They trigger when we yawn. You yawn 3 times in a row. You get talked to by a manager. Could be followed by a write-up. You sneeze. You take your eyes off the road. That's dangerous.
Here, let's talk about the yawn real quick. Scientists have actually studied the yawn, and doctors and scientists have still still recognize to this day that they're not quite sure what the yawn is for in the physical body. It doesn't necessarily mean you're tired. Yet you get 3 yawns, boom, I'm potentially going to get written up. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. Like I literally just read a report on this subject like 2 weeks ago regarding yawning. And the first thing I thought of, Trenton, is exactly what you just said, is how that affects our drivers, right? Like with this driver facing camera, and that if that's going to trigger something, oh, no. It's you may want to talk to the driver and ask him why you got your mouth open. But the reality is there is no discipline that should come from it, because there's no scientific data that proves a yawn means I'm tired. Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to throw that in there as an advocate when it comes to labor, to make sure people understand, you don't just get run over by a company's policies, especially when they got the electronic capability to run you over.
Yeah, no worries. And, at the same time, if you trust these people to go over the road with your cabs, with your trucks, you should also trust them to be able to drive safely.
That's correct.
Without those inward-facing cameras.
And that's a perfect point. Trust, right? They expect you to trust them. They should trust you. Very good point.
Yeah, I always say no amount of threats or K-nets make you a good driver. You know what I mean? And when they got there, they really lowered the standard of what we had at my old warehouse. I can't speak for other ones, but my old warehouse, I was a trainer, and it was 3 weeks I got with the driver when they came out of CDL school. 3 weeks in the road, I can teach somebody a lot. When they asked me about doing it, they said, well, you'll get 2 days with the driver.
Isn't that crazy?
I said, there's no way I would ever tell someone they're good after 2 days. I know they come from,
You can't evaluate, even if they've got experience. You can't evaluate it in 2 days. And the point that you're making, Jeff, right there, shows that Amazon's lack of experience in this industry. Yeah, they brought a ton of cash, a ton of money. They've built it out. They've thrown down. They've gotten investors to be able to build out this transportation and infrastructure to where they're able to make billions of dollars. The reality is like you, 30 years in the industry, 35 for me, 100 years plus for the Teamsters, for our members in this industry. We know this industry. This is a perfect example that they don't know it, which is why you need a union contract to make sure that those things are defined to protect you from a company who does not know the industry well.
Yeah.
Trenton, I think you had some other issues you were going to point out that they were throwing at you too, changes or arbitrary policies put in place.
Yeah, I just wanted to add more onto the camera thing, but I definitely got more following that. Another part of the camera thing, them using it to harass drivers. If you were listening to music when we had Smart Drive like a year ago, which we have a different one now, but a year ago they were writing people up for listening to music that had explicit words in it. Any curse words, you're driving over the road with any song that you like that just happens to have a curse word in it, it triggers and you get a talking to by the manager.
Holy smokes.
You can't focus. You can't put 100% of your focus onto the road if you're constantly thinking about this type of stuff. You know what I mean?
Like I can control what's playing on the radio. Are you killing me here?
Too. Exactly.
Or some random selection in my music feed, or some digital or you're listening to XM. Let's come on, man.
Could be a
Holy
podcast.
Smokes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I can add a little of that just because it's clicking in my mind. Trenton knows if we stop at a yellow light, they're going to tell us we stopped too fast. We go through it. They say we've ran the light.
Exactly.
And you really are. And you think this all day. You're a victim of circumstance. And like I said, I'm 31-year driver, and I give everything I can, try to get rid, just to see if I can do it. And we're like they're pre-robots here. You know what I mean? But one night we had one person said they got written up because there was a smashed barrel in the road. So they go over it. The other driver went around it from our other warehouse and said they talked to them about it too. You know what I mean? So both made the only two decisions possible.
Right.
Yeah. And both of them are wrong. Or a red light that doesn't change, they still can't tell us what to do.
Yeah. What do you do?
We've asked for years.
Sit there forever? Just park?
That is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to sit there forever. And I mean, that's crazy.
Right.
But then we're like, okay, if I go, am I in trouble?
Can I chime in on this real quick regarding that?
Yeah,
so
go right for it.
I had a situation. Everyone knows about it because I'll tell everyone my issues. So I come up to a light that's leaving our warehouse. It's a busy intersection. You got people leaving an elementary school that's to the left of us. You got drivers coming in to the right of us, turning left onto this road. Third-party drivers, UPS, whomever, all these tractor trailers coming in. This road does not have a lot of room, right? So if you're a big truck with a trailer behind you, you got to hope that the person that's turning in knows how to use their space, knows how to get out of the way when you are sitting there, right? And if they don't, it's an issue. Well, this person did not know how to do that. I was going straight just with my truck, no trailer attached or nothing. Guy turns too soon, too early, too quickly, and his trailer is going to smash into the front of my tractor. This is not my issue. This is not my problem. But what Amazon wants me to do, rather than getting out of his way, like I think we would all do, they want me to sit there and wait for them to figure it out. So he gets out of his truck and says, "Hey, can you back up for me?" And I say, "No, Amazon will not let me do that. I will get in trouble."
That crazy? Even if you got a spotter, right?
Even if I got someone in the actually passenger seat with me at that moment. I can't do anything about it. I had tractor trailers to the right of me, passing me, going over the curb just to get around me. It all came to a conclusion when sheriff came up to me and said, "If you do not back up right now, I will write you a citation. Amazon does not control the laws of the road." And I said, "Say less." I put that thing back in reverse. I said, "Yes,
That's
sir.
Right.
I'll do that right then and there." And following that, I got a talking to about it because why did I put myself in that situation? That's clearly my fault. I didn't see the future like I should have.
Yep.
Yeah, I think those are two great examples of what commercial drivers run into in this space all the time. And that at the end of the day, we really have to pay attention to the experience in the industry, that you can't necessarily put everything on paper. It's not just a bunch of set of rules that you can put in an algorithm and a computer is going to spit it out and say, this is what it is. Like, the experience of commercial drivers is so valuable. And I'm sorry that your employer doesn't respect it. You know that the Teamsters do. That's why it's in our logo, right? The reality is that we love and appreciate what drivers do. We appreciate your experience. We recognize that. And that's why it's important to have that stuff in a collective bargaining agreement. So let me just wrap this segment up by saying, or asking you a couple of questions. How important is the Tom team to Amazon? In other words, how important is your part of the operation to Amazon's overall operation? Why don't you guys describe that?
I would say it's very important. We're moving a lot of their freight warehouse to warehouse. We've been growing every year. I don't know where we're at exactly now. You know what I mean? But, we check in all the trucks. We check out all the trucks. We move everything in the yards. We take everything to the offsites. We run all the Tommy runs are us, but there's other runs that they have third parties that do. You know what I mean? But we're pretty important. We're not treated that way because I can guarantee you we're the lowest paid drivers that move Amazon freight, which is really feels like a slap in the face because we're their workers. And far as I know, we are the lowest paid that moves Amazon freight.
Trenton, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, we are very essential to everything they do. And I can speak for my building specifically. It wasn't that long ago where they were freaking out over these radios that we all have access to. We can all hear them. We got a low amount of drivers in the yard, and they need work in these dock doors. We need work. We need stuff to do to keep our people inside busy and keep making us money. Why are you guys not working? Oh, we have no trucks available. We're doing that because DOT requires us to have a certain standard on these trucks. We have to tag them out. We have to keep them waiting to get fixed for later. We can't just go out there with defective trucks. So, we're left with like one or two at this moment. We're working diligently to get what we can. You should have heard that day people on the radio. They're like, "What do we do?" They're calling out AMs. They're like, we got people over here sweeping. We don't know. We need to keep them busy. You know, we need to make sure they're working for their dollar. You know, I mean, it was insane that day. But this happens enough to where you know that if we were to just stop what we were doing, they'd be sitting in their chair wondering where they went wrong, because
and that's
right in front of them.
That absolutely answers or starts to answer my next question, which is our final question is, imagine, or let me just ask this, how much power do all the Toms drivers in the system have collectively if you all do this together? You all demand recognition. You're all on the same page across the entire country. All of you moving in a collective fashion, how much power are you going to have when other Toms drivers are listening to this podcast?
Yeah, we'd shut them down. And the drivers need to know that. The other drivers need to know who we want to join. You know what I mean? We'd shut them down. And it's not like we're trying to, shut them down. We just want to make our part too. You know what I mean? We deserve a fair pay and all that. I want Amazon to succeed. But like I said, when I was dropping the paper, they double their profits every year and we get a thank you. Nothing else, So,
and in some cases, you lose some benefits and wages and stuff like you just pointed out. And Jeff, you just hit the nail on the head. You said, shut it down. That's the name of this podcast. The Amazon Teamsters podcast is called Shut It Down. You're 100% correct. Trenton, did you want to add to that? What kind of collective power you believe all of you Tom drivers have in the system?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, the freight that goes over the road for Amazon, all these packages, that's their moneymaker. We handle that every day, every hour. All these trailers going over the road, that's, I can't even put it in numbers how much money that is. That obviously, if we were to stop doing their work for them, they would hurt. Their pockets would hurt. And we know this. And they're scared. They definitely are.
You heard it here on the Amazon Teamsters podcast. I'm telling you, Jeff, Trenton, I'm getting goosebumps right now. After seeing the video from yesterday, hearing the two of you here, knowing that camaraderie you have of your group, you guys are willing to take on anything. You're ready to take on anything. Thanks for coming on the show and sharing your story. Man, you guys are incredible. We'd love to see, number one, I'm sure you were inspired by other workers that did this last year, right?
Yeah,
look at how quickly they just nodded their heads.
Oh, yeah.
And now you're the ones inspiring other workers. How's that make you feel?
Oh, it's amazing. You know what I mean? It is. It really is to see. If I couldn't have watched everybody else on Facebook and all that and everything to keep going as we're trying to do this, because it takes a little while at first it took a little while to get traction, but we had nobody to point at. Everybody out there now has somebody to point at. You know what I mean? They can look right at us and know the power we have. You know what I mean? But it's amazing. It's a great feeling.
Trenton, what do you want to add? Last words.
Right down the road from us, Hebron, Kentucky, KCBG. We've all been watching what pressure they're putting on Amazon. It has, from the beginning, from us trying to do what we've done. I remember looking at that thinking, this is going to be an amazing achievement when they get their stuff all said and done. It's going to be awesome. And we're all thinking that in the back of our head. And I know that us doing this now is a beacon, a glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel for all these people that are working hard for what they deserve. I know that.
Trenton, Jeff, great job. Thanks for coming on the show. You heard it right here on the Amazon Teamsters podcast. Tune in next time.
Corporate greed is disgusting. Instead of us, they rather pay for union busting. Somebody said the working man a sucker. They took the stand and ran like a high jumper. Teamsters Local 804, we not having that. We gon' stand here and fight for fair contract. Fair wages on the table.